Alright, so today we're going to pull this old girl up. Start taking a look at her. It hasn't been sitting this long. Ignore the grass being high. It's only because the dually that we were working, we now have pulled up, was sitting here. That's why the grass was up. So the truck's only been here for like a couple of days. So anybody who obviously does not know this truck, this was mine at one point. We sold it to a buddy of ours. Good friend, good customer. I don't think this channel has seen this truck. At least the YouTube side of it is. TikTok has seen this truck quite a bit. This is a 2006 Ford F-250 6.0 Power Stroke. This is a Regency conversion truck. You see here is a Regency badge. Regency has the custom RV tan leather, same for the seats. It did have the armrest, but he had these replaced. I think he's going to have them redone to match this, because this leather is hard to match. Regency has gone out of business. They went bankrupt in 2008. Same thing with the back seats. Of course, has the dark wood grain. Not the Ford plastic, that is the real wood. Same thing for the back seats. It's real nice. It's really it that you get with this conversion in this truck. Some of the Regencies, especially like on the older OBS Fords, are a lot cooler. But like I said, you got the hardwood bezels on everything, so on the doors as well as the dash bezel, and of course the nice real leather RV leather seats. They're heated seats. They got the little switch down there. It's all aftermarket. They don't work on this. It didn't work when I had it. I never really looked into it. I'm sure it's just a wiring thing. But you do also get the leather on the door. I bought this truck, I don't even remember what year it was, quite a few years ago. Not running. And I guess the guy, he had bought it from a lot. I think he used it to pull like a lawn trailer. He had a landscaping company. I bought the truck with 148,000 miles on it, I think, and the guy pretty much drove, it was all stock, had an EGR on it. He pretty much drove it till it didn't, so I'm pretty sure EGR failed, it overheated, blew the head gaskets. It sat for so long the motor seized up. So this motor is actually out of another truck that I had. I had another 2006 F-250 Sport, black exterior, black leather interior with the carbon fiber bezels. That truck I had bought it for a work truck, and then I had somebody pull out in front of me and they totaled the truck, bent the frame, the crap up in the front. So we pretty much pulled it apart. I parted most of the truck out, and the engine I pulled out, I rebuilt, and then it went into this truck, because when I bought this truck it was originally just going to be something to buy, fix, and flip. And then when I got it, because it was listed as a King Ranch, when I got there and saw it was a Regency, I was like, oh wow, I want this one. So here it is, and of course now it's traded hands again, right? So this engine has, it's kind of the build specs of it. This is pretty much what my baseline 6.0 rebuild is, as far as what I call a baseline. It's got a stage 1 cam in it. I can give you the exact numbers. I don't know them off the top. I think it's like 175 or 190 something, I think. Don't know off the top of my head. It's been quite a while. It's got D-lit pistons. They are Cerakoted, and I think they have 10 thousandths of valve relief in them. It's got 100 pound. It's got heavier springs in the heads. I'm pretty sure they're 100-pound springs. They're O-ringed heads. ARP 2000 studs, or 425s. I think it's 425s with these, right? Yeah, what's that with the Cummins? Either 425 or 2000. The lower end, not the higher end stud. But I mean, either way, they're gonna do what they need to do. Crank has been balanced. Obviously, it's all new bearings, all new cam bearings. It has 1132 push rods in it. All new Ford lifters. Trying to think of what else was done to this engine. It's got new injectors, new high pressure oil pump. It does have the regulated fuel return on it. Got the cold air intake, if you want to call it that. It's got the Turbo Time USA GXR 11 Velocity Turbo on this truck. They no longer make that version of this turbo. The 11's gone. It's now the GXR 10 or GXR 9. I think a 12 as well, but the 11 is no longer in production. Of course, it's got different piping for the intake, or at least for charge air piping. It does have a 4-core all aluminum radiator. That was a nice upgrade I did. Really liked that. This radiator keeps this thing cool, and I mean cool. Coolant temp never even thinks about going over 190, which, as it shouldn't, right? It's a lot of radiator for this engine. New Ficum, new batteries, all that good stuff. Pretty much all it needs is a beefed up transmission to achieve everything that you would want with this engine, and she's built pretty stout. I don't know the exact number that I had invested in this thing. I don't recall. I have to actually go back and look at the numbers. I know I sent it to him. I have the whole build sheet with it though, but this engine will hold, the top end will hold everything the bottom end can, and typically 6064 bottom ends are typically good for about 800 or so horsepower, give or take. Now granted, that number depends on a lot of things like timing and how much actual compression you're pushing, because you will find a weak point if you throw a lot of compression. So the bed plate's not studded, the rods are not, or it's still got factory connecting rods, yada yada yada. But that's it. Of course, it's got the Mishimoto coolant filter on it. I think we did do the AC stuff on this truck. Yeah, we did replace the AC. I'm pretty sure we did. That was after, I think I went out after he bought it at some point like that. And the truck again was all original. He put a front end under it. We're going to put a gearbox in it. We're going to do the 2016 gearbox conversion, or I guess 2011 to 2016 gearbox conversion. So it's going to put a beefier box in it. We'll also have to replace the steering shaft. So pretty much what we're going to do to really get all that, we're going to have to pull the intake, the battery box, which means you got to unhook the PCM and all that stuff, and then we'll be able to have access to, and probably the charge air pipe. We'll have access to the top of the gearbox, which is sitting, well, you can't even see it. It's down there. But yeah, so that's our plan with this thing. We will be making a video as far as Turbo Time USA. I am a dealer for them, so I'm going to try to advertise them quite a bit harder, see if we can get some turbos sold. Of course, I mean, anyone who knows, if you watch TikTok, you know I've had a bad experience with another turbo manufacturer who's got a really big name, and needless to say, I am very disappointed with their customer service. So I'm gonna walk back up, and then we'll come back here and fire up and get her moving. Listen to how good this thing sounds. Well, let's fire this little girl up. Start getting her warmed up a little bit. Oh, hey, that moves not a lot of fuel. All right. Whoa. Well, good morning. Looks good. Of course, battery voltage is going to be low for a little bit. Still, the oil plug module is done cycling. Yeah, not bad. That's a healthy motor right there. The other thing we got to look at is that the pressure. Regulator turn should be about 60 pounds, and it will not go to 60 pounds for some reason. Oh yeah. Not a lick, because there shouldn't be. Oh, what a healthy sound 6.0. The funny thing is the 6.0 startup that's in the intro for this video, which we'll be updating here soon, actually came from that engine originally. Pretty fun fact, before it got all the cool upgrades, but it was a stock 6.0. That's idling up. Sucker sounds mean. It'll pour up. I hope it catches the noise of this thing, but we'll see. There was some traffic to go. It's a smooth acceleration, not abusing it. It's not mine to abuse, but I can tell you one thing, that turbo does sound delightful, to say the least. Alright, enough lollygagging around. We got her good and hot, so we're gonna climb underneath here in a minute, look for the oil leaks. Meantime, I have one phone call to make, and then we'll probably go ahead and start tearing this stuff apart. Get ready for the gearbox. I'm going to check the shipping on the shaft. The shaft's going to be the holdup. I had to order a couple pieces from Borgeson to generate the shaft, because the way you do the conversions, you need a 26 or 11 to 16, excuse me, a 05 to 07 450 550 steering shaft, which is no longer in production, so you cannot get them from Ford anymore. So we have to retrofit one from Borgeson with a couple pieces. So we need a pretty much a newer power stroke in that goes to the gearbox, and then we need the air truck, which would be 06 shaft from the union, or to the U-joint coupling all the way up to the column, or column shaft I should say, pretty much up to that joint up in there. And then yeah, and that'll be, I'll have that done. So I'm gonna verify shipping on that real quick, make a couple phone calls, as we are waiting on some parts for another truck that should be here by now. They should have been here, but they're not here, and yada yada yada. So we gotta get all that figured out. But yeah, let's see where the oil leaks are coming from on this thing, and then figure out why our fast will not achieve 60 pounds. So pretty sure I have another gauge that we're gonna put on there and try out. So we're gonna do that first, verify that the gauge is in fact working, which I'm sure it is. But this has it's a fast 220, I believe, on this truck, which is supposed to be able to run 60 pounds according to fast. We've been going back and forth with this. This is the only fast I've ever had issues like this with. We've done these at least 4 other same year trucks. I've never had a problem. We're able to easily hit almost 70 pounds. But they sent a new regulator spring or return spring. It made zero difference. So back to the drawing board. So I'm gonna call them and see what they got to say. Their customer service is typically pretty good. So although they were supposed to call me back a while back and they never did. Love that for me. All right, let's dive into it. All right, so we got the old gauge here, which came off of it. We got that gauge on there. Is that gauge even going to work? I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. So, I need the keys. We're going to cycle the key on, where the fast pump will start running. And we're going to see fast is running. Well, that gauge only shows 41 pounds, which is even worse than before. We'll fire it up. That's no good. That's no good at all. So, alright. So what we'll do now is we will, I'm going to pinch the return line on the faucet itself. So, which will pretty much force the pump to push fuel forward. And then we're going to see what it will read then, since this gauge is, it's a new gauge, right? It just came out of the box. Brand new out of the box. Even got a second one in case that one didn't work. So, I don't think this gauge is lying, which is a good thing. So we're going to, like I say, man, that's making me kind of mad. We'll pinch the return line, see what's going on, force the pressure up, and see what we get. Alright, so I got just a flathead piece of ice grips crimped down on the return line. Nothing, again, it's rubber hose. You don't want to like super crimp that on it, but just enough to make it bite. It's not going to completely restrict it, but it will cut at least 80% of the flow out of the return, which should give us a higher head pressure, which it is not. So, well, I guess we get to call fast and figure out what the hell's going on. Just to kind of get reference here, this is how we have the vice grip set up. So here's the return line. This is the feed. This is, I think it's 5/8 hose. Maybe a little bit bigger. Feed in, goes through the pump. There's a regulator spring behind this fitting in here, which regulates fuel pressure. And the return goes through here, and it feeds through this line here. That's the top line. This is what feeds to the engine. Which, again, if I can get up here, we should have no issues getting up. So the feed line comes in into this mount, which then disperses fuel out to the back of the heads. It comes back through the front, comes up, goes through the regulator, which then you could adjust this screw here to regulate the fuel back and fro, and then of course it'll return out right here, or out of this line here, which then will go back into the factory return line and go back to the tank to the factory sending unit, which is where our problem is, unfortunately. Oh yay. So I'm gonna call fast, see what they think. The thing is still under warranty, which I don't understand. Again, it's the first time we've ever had an issue like this, so I'm gonna figure out what's going on. I'm gonna give them a call and see what they say. Hopefully they have some better insight on why we were having this problem. So that's where we're at with this thing. We probably end up start tearing that thing apart today and finish putting the engine cover on that thing. Just a little, and the skid plates that I pulled off. Probably do an oil change again as well. We did put water in it, we didn't put coolant back in it, so I'll put some coolant back in it. That thing's done. We're done with the 4Runner. It runs good. Needs to be road tested, but it runs good. And this thing, we got a couple, so we got couple things to try. I'm gonna try to force power, acting as if the ignition is forced on, and see if I can get some CAN bus. If not, meh. She's dead, which we kind of already expect it to be dead, but we're just going to verify it's dead before we officially give it a death certificate. Alright, let's dive into it. Alright, so we got on the phone with Fast, we swapped gauges around, we've done the pinch test, we even have a gauge mounted on the top puck of the pump itself, which discharge pressure lines up exactly with what we're putting down over here, so I'm going to wait for them to call back. I'm going to wait for them before we go off and do anything, but we may take the regulator spring out and stretch it out, just kind of pull it, and that should increase pressure forward. Hopefully, I don't know. I really think that the motor is fine on the pump. I think the pump is the issue here, so we're gonna wait for them to call back and see what they want to do. While we wait for them, there's nothing we can really do on that. We're gonna go ahead and change the oil on the 4Runner, and then add some coolant to it as well, and then we will do a road test on it. Make sure it's fine, which I'm quite sure it is. See how dirty that tool cart is. Good God. Ugh. Just fast right there. So let's answer that, see what they got to say. Alright, so talking fast, so what we came up with is there's a pretty much like a relief valve. That's about the best way I can describe it. It sits right there on, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see. Right there on top underneath this little cover here. And there's a ball and a spring, and there's 3 different springs that they use for these pumps. This is what that spring looks like. It ain't nothing big, ain't nothing impressive. It's a little baby one. And we're thinking this is the low tension. This spring is actually for like the 100 and 165 pumps, which is why the pressure is what it is. So if this spring is incorrect or faulty, the pump will only generate so much pressure no matter what you do regardless. Cut back to return, all that stuff. So they're sending me a new spring. They're also sending me a new return spring as well, which we've already changed. I don't think we really need it, but they're going to send me a higher pressure return spring, which should, if that spring fixes it, should get this pump up to 80 pounds. Ideally, you want to run 6 liters when you run regulated return to keep the injectors satisfied. They need to really be, give or take, between 60 and 75 pounds. Really anything higher than that, they won't fire correctly. It'll end up stalling the truck, or blowing gaskets out, one of the two. I like to keep them right around 60, just a tad over 60, 63 pounds is really where I like to keep them. They run the best, they run smoother, the injector stays satisfied, they always have fuel. Everybody lives on. That is a big killer of these injectors, is starvation of fuel. That is why Ford and International both did the factory blue spring kit with these. It's just a thing, just an issue with them. But that's what we're going to do. So we're going to put this spring back in it, that way, and then pull our gauge off of it, put the plug back on the block. That way we can run the truck and move it if we need to move it. I don't want it as dead weight because there's no need for it to be dead weight currently. And then I'm going to check for leaks underneath the truck, see what's going on, see what we're leaking from, see the severity of how hard the repair is. I know he wants them fixed, but he also doesn't want to do anything because the leak's not bad enough to where it's like, okay, hey, I'm willing to spend a lot of money here, which I get it, right? To me, a couple drips ain't shit, but if it's puking, let's fix it. So that's where we're at. We're just going to make sure everything's good underneath it. Just do a little health check. And like I said, we're going to change the oil on the old 4Runner there. That way we can get it sold. Well, say get it sold. Change the oil, put some coolant in it, road test, make sure everything's fine, and then finally get a new owner. And then we'll probably start tearing this thing apart and then stick with this thing a little bit too. So we got a couple of things to do. I might wash that truck too. I did wash the ram, as I said I was going to do in the other video. Look how clean that wheel is now. It's no longer like pure brake dust. It's so embarrassing. You know, it's not hard to take care of nice things. That's the only way to keep them nice, is you have to maintain them. So, but like I said, we're gonna put this thing back together that way we can get driving it. And yeah, I don't really need it. I don't think I need to record myself doing that. It's 2 little Allen heads. It's a I think it's a 5/32 Allen head. The bolts torque to 60 inch-pounds. That's what the guy at Fast told me. So we'll torque those down. Like I said, pull the gauge off, put the plug back in, and then we'll be done with that. So, ain't nothing to her but to do her. Let's get it together. Alright, so this thing's back together for now. Before we start looking for oil leaks, skid plates for this thing. I'm just draining whatever little bit of water we can get out of it. And then, we've already put an oil filter in it. We've already filled it back up with oil. Just kind of letting it drain. Which is kind of a pain in the rear end, right? Because you really can't drain it because of the way the hoses are, how high everything is, and the water's farther below. real inconvenient, you know. Nevertheless, we're going to fill her up. We did all we pretty much did was drain the radiator. We're going to top her off with coolant, and then yeah, and then we'll, like I said, put the engine cover back on it, put the skid plates back on it, and then do a little road test, and this thing will be done. Why did Toyota design that? Why? I'm sure there's a reason, right? But what the hell? Whatever.
My head in my hands, listen up, says my teacher. In front of the class, he says if you're not a believer, I've views, that's on you. Better shape up and pay your dues. Of my views, that's on you. I'll be on a flight soon to Vienna singing, ooh. Gotta know all this propaganda, how do you do? Better get it in my own medicine for you. I'm never gonna make them think I'll stand there. For all the things that I've said, pushing me closer to the edge. And I don't know that lose, don't mind if I do.
Alright, so we looked at the oil leaks on this thing, and it looks like the rear cover is leaking a little bit. And from what I can tell, possibly the rocker box over here. It's kind of hard to see. It's definitely not the valve. I mean, it could be the valve cover though. It is kind of moist, but that's not the highlight of the leak though. Definitely seems more like the rear cover to me, but that's going to be it for this one. I'm going to move this truck back to the back, and then see what time it is. We may end up starting to tear down the other one. It's 3 o'clock. Yeah, I don't know. I may start tearing this one down. Getting the front end off this truck. Getting her to pieces. That way all we got to do is just pull and drop in. And I'm going to mess with that one for about 30 minutes. That's really going to be it though. Let's see what we do. If we tear into that, I'll record. If not, then it'll kind of be the end of it, but we'll see.
For all the things that I've said, pushing me closer to the edge. And I don't know that lose, don't mind if I do. Free as the wind, and as strong as a piece of amber. Give me a breath, like the fire you'll soon remember. Ooh. I'll be on a fleet soon to the end, I'm singing, ooh. Gotta know all this propaganda, how do you do? For all the things that I've said.
Alright, so I did try to force power to see if that truck could CAN bus, and it will not. So there's multiple faults in the harness. And we are not going to dig in the harness to find them. So that truck is officially a total loss. I think he's planning to part it out, sell it to somebody who will. I don't really know his plan with it. Really, ideally, if he wanted to, he could probably find a truck with a blown motor. It's real nice, and throw that one in it, because the drivetrain in this one is perfectly fine. But that's gonna kind of be up to him. Can't tell somebody how to spend their money, nor will I tell them how to spend their money. It is not my job. But as we saw, we started tearing it apart. I mean, again, these things just fall apart. Really, they're real easy. All we got to do now is pull the radiator, trans cooler, and then drop the power steering cooler, which is that little thing there. Drop it down, and then we're going to pull the turbo and up pipes out. That way we can get the motor out and over the cross member, unmarry the transmission, push it back, and then hook chains up 8 21 millimeter nuts on the motor mounts, and then out she goes. So that'll be that. And then we'll get the other truck over here at some point to figure out when we want to do that, and pull the engine out of it and transplant that engine into here. But yeah, I just want to get started on this while we have the time. So now I'm going to wash my red truck, get it all nice and pretty before the work week coming up here in a few days. That way it can sit and look clean for a little while. And that's pretty much it. It's going to be it for the video, so stay tuned for the next one, which will be tomorrow. And we'll be putting the turbo in that 16 or 15 Ram, which I don't really, maybe 14. It's 4th gen 3500 Longhorn. That's all I remember. It's been a while since I've touched that truck. We will be putting the turbo on it and doing the valve lash and crankcase filter manana. The plan is to completely finish that truck tomorrow. If we will do that, I have no idea. But we'll see. Oh, big yawn. It's kind of tired, kind of hungry. And the sun keeps going down too early. I don't like these time changes. But it's going to be it for this one. RIP to the 13 Ram. 150,000 miles. Mother Nature said no more. So, moral of this story is, if you have a newer truck like this that you don't feel like, or you just can't replace it buying a cash truck real easy, I would probably keep full comprehensive coverage on it. That way, if something like this happens, which the chances are, you know, I thought they were very thin, but this happened to this guy, and then not even 2 months later, another customer of mine had it happen to his 2020. So, I don't know. Keep full coverage on your stuff, if you know. Well, cool. I'll see y'all on the next one.